Hey guys, my name is Ruben Nuts, and in this video, I want to talk about the importance and the existential importance of America First as a first generation Mexican American running for Congress. And when we think about America First, it means gay, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, trans, Arab America first, not only simply first. And when we think about America, we think about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And America is an idea. We do not have a country that, or a culture rather, that is thousands of years old. And what unites us, which we do have a lot more in common that we do different, which is what is said in the Pledge of Allegiance when we think about one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is that law of oneness, that no matter what God you believe in, we all come from the same one. And that's really the way to uproot and end discrimination, because to end discrimination, we cannot mentally, emotionally, and spiritually bypass it. But when we antagonize people and we fragment them based on identity politics or gender, age, religion, or otherwise, and we do not speak to the reality of, for example, the velocity of the dollar, if we continue to do this, it will by de facto lead to the degradation of America. Because if you look at the velocity of the dollar, for example, within Mexican Americans, we have a greater amount of time that the dollar spends within our own culture before it leaves. Same with, for example, Asian Americans or Jewish Americans, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Although to divide one another based on culture is a form of, again, divisiveness, which I'm fundamentally against. But if anyone who sticks to the America First ideals, which does not mean leaving your roots or ignoring them, but it's prioritizing the idea that no matter what God you believe in, we have more in common than we do different, because we're created by the same God. And so that idea cannot coexist with divisiveness and separation. And to continue to stoke that divisiveness will only continue to degrade this country in favor of cultures and communities that have a higher range of cultural money within their own groups, right? Which arguably so, people resonate more with their own culture, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, although it is divisive per se. But to then not prioritize the ideal that we have more in common than different will inevitably bleed out this country. And there is nothing wrong with prioritizing America First. And not only that, but it is the very embodiment of oneness. People like my parents left their country because it was not enabling people to really empower themselves with their God-given potential, which is what this country is rooted on. And in the same respect, and for that reason and that importance, I also believe that the Republican Party has a greater responsibility of taking care of all Americans first and equally, because we are just an idea that is a very powerful one, a universal law, something that, in my opinion, is the idea of the very embodiment of being human, or the human experience, again, no matter what God you believe in. And so, because if we don't stick to those values morally, equally, and without prejudice, inevitably we will be overcome by the illusion of division. And to uproot, again, discrimination, and this is really my final point with this video, means that we cannot mentally, emotionally, or spiritually bypass its reality. And when we think about uprooting discrimination, it can really only be done in the Republican Party, because by de facto we cannot bypass it, which is what a lot of the other side of the aisle tends to want to do. And so in that sense, when we think about uprooting it, it's about understanding that no matter what God you believe in, we come from the same one first, and understanding that source, or that inception within one another and your neighbor as yourself, as mirror images of that same source. And then second, the unique and creative inspiration of that individual, and the unique resonance of that source expression that they embody in their experience of that. Second, the archetypal wounds and healing that they might have experienced and that hurt people, and having that compassion, understanding, and getting to know one another. Third, and then finally, seeing or registering the cells that composite that essence, which is made up by then what we call gender, age, religion, race, or otherwise. But that is the very last thing that we should be computing. But in order to do that, we have to return to that law of oneness that is really only depicted in America. Again, one nation under God, indivisible. There is no greater testament to the fact that we are all one and we have more in common than we do different than that statement within our very Pledge of Allegiance. And to defend that means to really honor with integrity those morals and values, and that we all come from the same source, and taking care of the American people first, and then expressing that and being that embodiment, being that change that we want to see, inspiring others to be that same change, and really being a power by inspiration, and then the peace through strength, which again, it's why the right to bear arms is so important, because if people can individually defend themselves, then they are personally empowered to do so. Peace through individual strength, and then the collective strength of that law of oneness when we unite. Second, and then really being able to defend those values individually, then collectively, and thus create that peace principally by those values of we are all one. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I would appreciate your support of any kind, like, sharing this content, this video. Like I said, I am running for Congress in the 14th Congressional District of Texas. And so if you could donate, that would be greatly appreciated. But with that said, I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.